First, let's take a look at the key updates coming in from the global markets. The consumer price index rose in June as President Donald Trump tariffs began to slowly work their way through the US economy. Now, the US June core CPI rose 2.9% on a YY basis, which is largely in line with estimates, but the June consumer prices rose 2.7% versus estimates of about 2.6%. It's also up 0.3% compared to the last month. Now, the June core CPI has risen by 0.2% on a month-on-month basis, and that's also largely in line with estimates as well. US President Donald Trump has said that he's finalized an important deal with the Republic of Indonesia, and that's the second key global update that we're getting you. Now, this is important because as he starts to send letters to countries like European Union, he's also starting to finalize deals with countries like Vietnam and now with Indonesia. Now, this is a landmark deal and will open up the Indonesian entire market to the United States for the first time in history, is what President Trump says. Now, as part of the agreement, Indonesia has committed to purchasing $15 billion in terms of US energy, almost $4.5 billion in American agricultural products, and 50 Boeing jets. Many of them are 777s. In addition, Indonesia will also pay a 19% tariffs on all goods that they export to the US. And this seems like a win-win transaction for Donald Trump. He also said that India is working along the same line as Indonesia. Listen to what he had to say.
But we will have full access into Indonesia. And we have a couple of those deals that are going to be announced. India basically is working along that same line. We're going to have access into India. And you have to understand, we had no access into any of these countries. Our people couldn't go in. And now we're getting access because of what we're doing with the tariffs. So they're paying 19%, and we are not paying anything. And they're going to give us full access into Indonesia.
Well, apart from that, while trade deals have been dominating the news flow, the tariff saga is also continuing. Trump also said that pharmaceuticals will be tariffed probably at the end of this month itself. And this is important because it comes versus his earlier statement that tariffs on pharmaceuticals will be stretched over the next 12 to 18 months. Listen to what he had to say.
The end of the month, and we're going to start off with a low tariff and give the pharmaceutical companies a year or so to build, and then we're going to make it a very high tariff because we got to move them in. Look, there's two ways you do it. You make money, or you have them move here so they don't have to pay the tariff. Those are the two ways. The pharmaceutical companies are moving back to America where they should be.
But as we mentioned, it was a mixed day of trade for Wall Street. The S&P 500 dipped by 0.4%, while we also saw a drop in the Dow Jones by over 400 points. On the other hand, NASDAQ index was the only one that was in the green yesterday. In terms of the tech-heavy index, we also got a boost from its darling NVIDIA, which rose 4%. After the company said it hopes to resume its H20 AI chips to China soon. And this sent the stock up in flurry in the overnight market as well, while trading there before. Now, meanwhile, US futures ticked lower. The futures are tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, pulled back roughly about 70 points, 0.2%, while the S&P 500 lost about 10 points. We've also seen within the Asian markets today, the Nikkei as well as the Shanghai are almost having a flat to a negative bias, while the Hang Seng, the Hong Kong index, is working well, up about 0.6%. Oil prices also slightly fell yesterday after President Trump lengthy, 50-day deadline for Russia to end the Ukraine war and avoid sanctions to ease immediate supplies. And that'll be one of the key developing stories because this could have an immediate impact on countries like India that import oil from Russia as well. So that's going to be a developing story, and we'll get you all those updates.